Hi everybody, come back with me, Teacher Ha. Today we are going to talk about court, to chew or not to chew. Visitors to countries around the Horn of Africa should be prepared for an extraordinary sight. This will be of a man with one great big swollen cheek poking out. As if a tennis ball has been inserted into a green teeth and a faraway look in his eyes. The reason for his outlandish appearance is a leaf called wood, or chat which many say is an evil drug, and the encourage of the society, but which those who chew it maintain is the greatest pleasure in life. It keeps your outward sharpens, and the senses loosens or tongue, exhausts your sex life and enables your dream. In much of Kenya, Ethiopia, Slovenia, Yemen, and Djibouti, life revolves almost completely around court. Other people choose mainly to relax. Many do so to work with even greater concentration. Students use it to cram before exams. Long-distance truck drivers keep going to a mines on a checkful. Businessmen use it to soften off the competition and checkers of the past deals, and poets turn it to for inspiration. By middle day, in Sunala, the Yemeni capital, most men are impatient to be off to shock to execute their daily supply nearly. All work senses and measure rush hours and seas with traffic. It is very north and tempers freight as a pupil hungry to get the best before it is gone. It is all highly stressful. Once you emerge from the jostling ground, however, with your green bunch intact, you can at last slow down and relax. Now, only hours of delight straight before you. First, a big lunch is necessary. You never feel hungry after court. So, if you are going to eat, you'd better to eat before, then well chocolate. Not only with your wash and shin lips on the juicy steam, but also with water Pepsi, cigarettes or shisha, water pipe. You sit down to a chew. This may be a solitary thing, but usually it is with a few good friends. How you sit is very important. You have sit half reclined on a mattress on the floor, supported on the left by a hard cushions. All doors and windows are firmly closed so as not to let in any drafts, and the air rapidly comes thick and smoke. Before long, everyone is animated, talking loudly. Conversation runs far and wide, from politics and poetry, from prices to philosophy. And the amazing thing is that if the quote takes effect, all the problems of the world suddenly seems to easily solve. Although it is mostly men who chew, the habit is increasing amongst mainly middle class women. They arrive at each other's home, covered in black, of course, but once inside, desirable to reserve the latest fashion qualities of gold makeup and elaborate hairstyle. The room is fragrant with incense, and as a chewing guest. Underway, there is louder, reportedly, even word party, jokes, music, and even dancing. In Santas, sunset is known as the hour of Suleiman. As the last race, food and room, you notice all sudden quiet. All taking has creases and everyone is good withdrawn and meditative. The only sound is the rattle of the water pipe of the quite heavy sign. It's at this point that one is supposed to enter a state known as calf, in which one experiences a sort of contained enlightenment or enlightened contentment. Some do actually manage to sustain this and end up floating in perfect bliss. But for some most, it does not last all that long. One is began to wear out. Many people begin to feel distinctly depressed and melancholy, and everything that seemed to so easy before how fails. Insurmountable, the quiet trees Kutala easily grown with the mainly parts of East and Southern Africa. But in Ethiopia, Yemen, and Kenya, it is lucrative cash crop. In many areas, replacing coffee as the main sources of income. That is having a devastating effect on the environment, especially in Yemen, where deeper and deeper wells are being spooked to enable irrigations. This dramatically lower the water table in country that has for centuries been an example to the rest of the world of good water management. To make matters worse, the vast amount of chemical fertilizers and pesticides under use inevitably seeps underground to contaminate what little water is left. There are many other arguments against growing corn. It is responsible for laziness, tetrarchy, and among the poor. Malnutrition is some men prefer to spend what little they have on corn for themselves rather than food. For their children, whether it is actually a drug or not, it is debatable. Chewers claim it is not addictive when they go abroad, for instead to places where corn is unobtainable. They simply forget about it and do not experience any withdrawal. Not much research has been done into the physical side effects. It certainly causes weight loss and insomnia. It may also be cause of mouth cancer, and although many claim it is an excellent aphrodisiac, and in the long term it probably also results in potence in the USA and the most of Europe. It is classified as a drug and ego in Britain and however it is not. It is even big business and play. Loads for freshly picked quote from Addis Ababa arrive each week and here to roll. The question as to whether it is like alcohol forbidden in Iceland or not is an interesting one. In Saudi Arabia, chewing quote is punishable by death, yet right next door in Yemen, it is simply not unusual. In Ramadan, People chew even more thought at night of courses, often until then. Whatever, when everyone agrees it is the major impediment to development in the region, with most of the male populations busily chewing, every day it is hard to get much done. The unfortunate governments, however, have an insoluble problem on their hands. No matter how deadly they would love to completely get rid of court, to try to do so good surely and in their own spectacular they miss. Next, we are going to talk about folklore. According to the dictionary I have, folklore is the study of ancient custom, belief, traditions, and superstitions of the common people. Who are these common people? Well, nowadays, folklorists would say they are you and me, that we continue to generate folklore. But most people could link folklore to the belief and stories of the rural people in the older days. Let's look more closely at some of Brighton's folkloric traditions ranging from the story of fairies and supernatural beings to custom and traditional dance. Tales of the supernatural and common in all parts of Brighton. In particular, there was and perhaps still is a belief in fairies. Not all of these fairies are the friendly people loving spirits and appeared in Disney films. In some folktales, they are cruel and causes much human suffering. That is true in the tales about the changeling. This tells the story of a mother whose baby grows sick and pale and is changed so much that it is almost unrecognizable to the parents. It was then afraid that the fairies had come and stolen the baby away and replaced the human baby with a fairy chanting. This was most likely to happen between birth and the baby patients. There were many ways to prevent this from happening. Hanging a knife over the baby's head while he slept or covering him with some of the father's clothes were just two of the recommended methods. However, hope was not lost even if the baby had been stolen. In those cases, there was often a way to get real baby back. You could place the changeling on the fire. Then it could rise up the chimney. You could hear the sound of fairies louder, and soon after you would find your own child safe and sound nearby. Or if you were more cautious, perhaps there was a magic well in neighborhood where you could leave the changeling overnight, and in the morning you would return to find your own baby there without a scratch on him. Old women also populate folktales. The most famous example is the Banshees. She was a ghost who has closely connected to a particular family and would sometimes pay them an unwelcome visit. If the family heard her crying or wailing loudly at night, they would know that a member of the family was going to die. Similar to things are the stories of the black dog. These are definitely not a man's best friend. Variety of dog. These are enormous wild dogs seen late at night, and they usually mean death or disease in family for the person who saw them. Apart from folktales, There are many customs and traditions connected to yearly celebrations, which are also part of Brighton folklore. Gunashaf is the celebration at the beginning of August. These goods come from the Celtic god Lach, which means light, and it is a time of celebration for the harvest collected. A custom connected with this is to make corn dollies by grinding together corn from the last of the harvest. The dolly is saved until the following spring when it is put back into the earth with the new seeds, and as it was believed that his dolly contained the spirit of the bring a good harvest. Christmas too is full of ancient customs which have their roots in times long before Christianity. The tradition of lighting a fire decorating the home with a evergreen come from pagan times. The fire was to keep away evil spirits and fill the home with lights, and the even green the value because it was a sign life continued during those cold, dark days. Not all the origins of ancient traditions are remembered, however. The roots of Morris dancing are not known. This is a dance in which men, and sometimes women, did dress in a white dance together. In some styles, they grasp sticks. In others, they wore handkerchiefs. Some people think dance may be pre-Christian fertility, right? Others say it was introduced in Britain in the late 15th century, and that is come from Moorish dancing. In any case, it is interesting to see that Moorish dancing is not a dying tradition. Instead, interest in Moorish dancing seems to be growing, and there are Moorish dancing groups in places as far away as New Zealand and San Francisco. Although these tale customs and dance have been passed down to us from forgotten generation, they themselves have not been forgotten and continue to play a part in our modern lives. Our literature is full of work based on our folk tales in W.B. Yeats' poem The Stolen Child, and the even Sherlock Holmes and close encounter with a supernatural dog in Arthur Conan Douglas, the haunt of the Bakers village. Every week, groups of like-minded individuals regularly meet to sing, play instruments, or practice ancient dance. And this month, people all over Brighton shall be preparing their garments for that ancient celebration we now call Christmas, lighting press and putting up holly and mistletoe, just as their great-great-grandfathers once did. Next, we are going to talk about gardening and the beginnings. Are the garden a recent invention? The modern garden has a history going back many thousands of years. Early, humans were hunters and gatherers. He didn't usually stay in one place for a long time. Instead, they traveled from place to place, following the fruit, plants, and animals according to the season. During the Neolithic period over 10,000 years ago, this slowly began to change. Humans started to domesticate certain plants, which meant they could remain in one place and grow their own food. The first garden was the vegetable garden, where early humans cultivated different types of plants for food. What plants did people grow? Evidence of early agriculture in Europe include edible plants such as wheat or lentils, but also includes more ornamental plants for other purposes. Plants for medicine were grown such as sage, as were herbs and spices for a flavoring or preserving food. Certain plants also had religious and spiritual value and were not only grown because they were useful or edible. Growing of plants, not only food, was the beginning of gardening. Why did people plant gardens? Gardens today are beautiful places to go and relax, but have had many purposes over the years. In the past, they lived planted to honor the gods or used in religious ceremonies, such as funerals and weddings. Certain trees were also scratched in some cultures. Yew trees were important for arts, as were ceremonies in Egypt. The ancient Greek plant growers for their good, and many cultures believed gardens were holy. They were also a way to show their owners were rich or powerful. Ancient rulers created huge gardens to display their wealth in the same way the large places were symbols of prosperity. In Roman times, the garden became an extension of the house, representing the honor status in social rather than holy place. What does paradise mean? Sir Francis Bacon described gardens as the purest of human pleasures. Pleasure and happiness are idealized with gardens. The ancient Greeks believed growing food was a job for the poor. Food gardens were places for enjoyment and contemplation. The English word paradise comes from the ancient Persian word paradise, means a walk space, a garden, and the gardens of the Middle East described in the Arabic Nights were places of great beauty and splendor, where people enjoyed the pleasures of life. What was the most famous garden? One of the most famous early gardens was a hanging garden of Babylon, one of the seven wonders of the ancient world. It was created around 2,600 years ago, near a river Euphrates, and contained many plants, flowers, fruits, trees, stone columns, and waterfalls. It was designed so river could continually irrigate, and it as a result was green all year round. Are gardens artistic? As gardens have developed over the years, design and beauty have become more and more important. Humans have learned to control nature and to design gardens precisely, like a work art or building. The gardens of Rêveries in France are an excellent example of garden architecture. Everything is symmetrical, and even the streets are poured to fit with the design. Carefully planted or not, gardens are still beautiful and relaxing places to visit. On a fine day, you might even find a little part of paradise if you look hard enough. Thanks for listening. Goodbye.